Good morning and welcome back to another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Tom Matthews.
And I'm Joanne Toronto. Today we wanted to talk a little bit about seasonality in real estate because we find that a lot of people are asking us this question: when is the best time to sell my house?
Right.
When is the best time to buy? And there is a little bit of seasonality in the market, in New England, but in Concord in particular,
Right.
we do have a buying and selling season. And that's because the real estate here is very tied to the school year.
Yes.
So a lot of people move out to the suburbs of Boston because have families, they need to get enrolled in schools, and the public schools in particular are a big driving factor for real estate values here.
Right.
So Tom, why don't you talk a little bit about how the different,
Yeah.
what are the different seasons?
Yeah, the different seasons, typically when you see around January 1st, a lot of sellers are getting their homes ready for sale. They typically want to have their home on the market by like March 1st because, historically it can take anywhere from, a week to 30 days to sell a home, sometimes longer. So you want to try and have your house on the market on March 1, and really the height of the real estate market when you see the most activity, that spring market, is typically from March 1 through the end of June, so the end of the school year. That's when you typically see the highest prices, the most competition from buyers, because there are families who need to be settled by the time school gets out. And the reason they want to be settled by the time school gets out is it gives the kids the summertime to get adjusted and get ready for the upcoming school year.
Right.
So, if you're looking to make a move into the suburbs and you need to time the school market, you just have to understand you can do it. You might just spend a little bit more on the house, but that's okay, because being settled for the following school year is more important to your family than necessarily getting the best deal.
Right.
What happens in the summertime, Joanne, here in the Concord area?
So the summertime, in a more traditional sense, in years past, and I would call this like pre-COVID years, the summer, it often slows down a bit. People are out of town, they're at their summer homes, on vacation in particular. There's a lot of time off. And what we've seen over the last 24 to 36 months is we've seen kind of that spring market march right through the summer. And we've seen quite a bit of good inventory in the summer. So in a traditional sense, it used to be much more quiet. But in recent history, it has become kind of the extension of that spring market. Now, the start of the spring market where we live in Concord is it's a moving target, right? And it's a moving target because we say the beginning of March, but if it's March 1st and there's 4 feet of snow on the ground, nobody wants to put their house on the market when there's 4 feet of snow on the ground. The ideal time is when the threat of lingering snow is gone. So it will depend year to year on when that really picks up and starts going. But I would say definitely by the end of April and the beginning of May, we are in it and in the throes of the most inventory that we will see in a year. So the summertime is also a great time to be looking for a home because you're outside of that school time. You still have time to get settled. And as we get towards the end of August, we will see things generally lighten up a little bit because people will go on vacation. There's no camp in session for the last couple of weeks of August. And that's when a lot of people are away. But then we go right into Labor Day weekend and the start of the school year. And then what happens?
You typically see a bump. You see another bump in activity after Labor Day because people are settled. In Concord, we see close to 30% of our moves are within town. So people buying and selling, moving within town. We also see a lot of families coming in kids go to private school. So that timeline doesn't matter as much. So you see a pretty good bump from right after Labor Day through probably Thanksgiving. And it's a really active, we're typically very, very busy in the fall. Really like a great time of year to be making a move. Because you may have made offers in the spring and didn't get anything. You might have felt it was too competitive. You may be one of those people that say, you know what, as much as I want my kids settled, I want to be financially savvy and I'd rather move them outside the school time frame. So you see that in the fall. And then typically in a traditional sense, the real estate off season is kind of like from Thanksgiving through that March 1 timeframe. We don't see as much activity But for first-time home buyers, so if you're a first-time home buyer or you're a buyer that's been out in the market really wanting to buy something, sometimes this season can be really tremendous.
Yep.
Because oftentimes what you're seeing homes that may have come on the market in spring or summer that were priced too high. And the seller was just resistant to dropping the price, but now they're desperate. They need to make a move. So there may be opportunity price-wise for buyers.
Yep.
You might see a divorce, relocation, an untimely death. Because those are typically the people that are selling in the middle of the winter.
Right.
When there is 4 feet of snow on the ground, as Joanne was talking about before. And you may be the only buyer and they may need to move.
Yeah.
And there's opportunity.
I also think the fall and the winter season are a great way to get your feet wet.
Yes.
So that when the busiest part of the year comes up, you are ready. Maybe you've made an offer on a home and unsuccessfully.
Right.
Maybe you secure something. You know, we feel that this time of year, basically the end of the fall through the winter, is an amazing time for buyers to get into the market, get out looking at houses, attending open houses, and really getting a feel for how far their dollar will go in each location. Because we know that in a low inventory environment that we've had for several years, that buyers are generally looking in more than one town.
Right.
So understanding the dynamics of the tax base and the tax rate versus the sale price. So you have, your budget in mind for your monthly payment. And it's really a great time to get your experience. And then for sellers, we often get a lot of phone calls at, the backside of the year for people who want to prep for the year coming up. So we'll go out, we'll meet with sellers, we'll talk about landscaping projects that they might have in mind to increase their curb appeal, painting, other, remedies of staging or decluttering that we can help people with, so that they can move through that process before the busiest part of the season comes. Because hands down, the best time to list your house in Massachusetts is the spring market.
Yeah.
No doubt.
No doubt. So, we just want to talk a little bit about seasonality for buyers and sellers. And we want to thank you for watching another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Tom Matthews.
And I'm Joanne Toronto. Cheers.